Betrayal is actually pretty common in the sports world. Everybody knows the saying, it's a business first. We've seen countless Benedict Arnolds and Judas Iscariots in the history of athletics. Kevin Durant is one of the most famous if you watch basketball. He moved to the Warriors from the Thunder after the Warriors had the best record in NBA history and beat the Thunder in the playoffs, a move that created the craziest super team in NBA history. Basketball fans will forever remember KD as a hoe that gave up in his prime and ran to one of the greatest teams ever, shifting the entire balance of the league for almost 3 seasons straight. When LeBron left Cleveland in 2010, they lost their entire top. They was burning jerseys, cursing his name, and when he returned to Cleveland with Miami in December 2010, it was one of the wildest atmospheres of all time. Things were being thrown at him. They even considered ending the game early because it was that rowdy in the stadium. Them Cleveland fans was eating him alive. Even that, though, isn't really comparable to how European fans get down when one of their players snakes them. There's been plenty of situations that can be considered grimy in football history. In my personal opinion, though, there's definitely one club that seems to get the short end of the stick pretty often. That would be Arsenal, of course. Because how could it not be? If you ask any English football fan, they'll probably have a player that they hate for backstabbing their club. Tottenham fans would say Campbell, United fans would say Tevez, and Liverpool fans would say Michael Owen, for example. You ask an Arsenal fan, though, and they'd probably sit down and get out a pen and paper to make a list. Ashley Cole be one of the first names, Fabregas too, Nasri will come up, maybe Adebayor. They're all valid choices in my opinion. It's true that maybe a couple of these could have been avoided with better management, especially situations like Ashley Cole's, but that doesn't make it any less annoying for fans. Matter of fact, it makes it worse, actually. There's one situation, though, that I personally feel like is worse than the others. I want y'all to imagine something for me. Let me walk you through a hypothetical situation real quick. Let's go back in time to, ancient times, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. The whole continent is split up into a bunch of different lands. There's Itol, there's Spon, there's Jarmun, there's Angreed, and there's Frayne. Now, Angreed is made up of a bunch of different tribes, clans, families, houses, but they all had one thing in common. They each bowed to the same king. The king was from the Mansu clan, which had been the most powerful clan in Angreed for centuries, right? We're getting real deep into this hypothetical. The king kept power through his terrifying army made up of some of the greatest knights in the world. There was Sir Paul the Ginger, not the most ferocious fighter, but definitely the most intelligent. Sir Canton the Entertainer, lethal with any weapon, but consistently unserious. He left the service of the king early to pursue his performing dreams, let's say. There was Sir Riggs the Weirdo, loyal and hardworking, but definitely a slime ball. Despite his devoted service to the king, he was still exiled from Angreed late in life when his affair with his brother's wife was discovered. As the knights began to age, they were replaced by newer, younger warriors. Sir Ron the Bold and Sir Rune the Squarehead. Generation after generation, the Mansu's ruthless army and their iron-fisted king continued to tighten their grip on the entire region. Stay with me. It's a really long hypothetical. Of course, there were rebellions and shit. Not everybody was happy under Mansu rule. There was the decade-long war with the Ersin tribe, including the year-and-a-half-long march to the capital where the Ersin didn't lose a single battle. For a long time, the Ersin were the biggest threat to the Mansu, and even though other threats emerged like House Chow, the two of them remained enemies for a long period of time. Now, the Ersin tribe had a young warrior. We'll call him Von Pierce. After, what are we going to call him? After Chief Thurno left I'm sorry. After Chief Thurno left to travel to the land of Spawn, a lot of people were relying on Von Pierce and his friend Fabry to lead the tribe in the future, since they were the best young warriors they had. The only problem was Von Pierce caught a disease when he was still a teenager. The disease caused him to become extremely fatigued and weak on random days, making him useless in battle whenever he got sick. The Ersin were superstitious people, and they believed that sicknesses were signs of cursed children. Usually, they cast sick people out into the wilderness to fend for themselves. This time, though, they made an exception. After many years of genuinely threatening the Mansu, the Ersin had recently gone a good while without actually causing them any real harm. For me, they were desperate, and their old chief's disappearance left a gap that had yet to be filled. So instead of throwing the teenage Von Pierce into the jungle to be beat up by a hippopotamus or something, they took care of him, and after a few rough years, they managed to nurse him back to full health and get rid of whatever sickness had attacked his body for so long. He returned to full health and led the Ersin on a series of lightning-quick attacks that went under the radar because of the attack on the capital by the Man Z clan, which was going on at the same time, to be fair. It looked like things were going well, though. And then, one night, that changed. A late night ambush, fire, murder. It happened so quick that Ayrton didn't even know how to react. When they finally got themselves together, their new leader was gone. Stay with me now. We're still doing a little hypothetical. The Mansu army had kidnapped Von Pierce, but instead of executing him and striking a huge blow to the Ayrton, Von Pierce was actually taken before the king himself. They spoke, and the king made his offers. Riches, wealth, power, all of that. No more living out in the world, a lifestyle that the Mansu viewed as primitive. He could enjoy a life of luxury and wealth. Of course, the king was capping out his ass. The truth was he was desperate. The Manzi had assaulted the capital and burned down the Red Castle earlier in the year. The king barely had any control of the city left. His power was slowly slipping away, but all Von Pierce heard was the king stroking his ego. He was eating that shit up. In the end, it didn't take much to change the greedy young man's allegiances. Throwing aside the people that cared for him without a second thought, he bent his knee to the king and became Sir Pierce. After that, it was raps. Okay, that was all kind of dramatic and unnecessary, but I'm sure y'all see what I'm trying to get at here. Rob Van Persie is one of the biggest ops in Arsenal history, and that's never really going to change. Call it saltiness, call it entitlement, call it whatever you want. What he did was fucked up. I respect the opinion of anybody that thinks Cole or Adebayo are bigger snakes than him, but it's the context that really makes RVPs the worst of them all. This dude was literally made of wet tissue paper for like 4 years up until 2011. His injury record was looking like Neymar's. 2006 season, he fucks up his foot in January and misses the whole second half. 2007 season, he only plays 15 league games because he keep finding new ways to obliterate his body. Knee injury, thigh strain, muscle strain, like damn, are you ever not in pain? 2008 to 2009, he actually stays healthy most of the season, and he puts together a great year, and now maybe he's gotten past the whole hospital magnet thing, right? Yeah, no, actually. In fact, he violated his ankle in November and vanished for 5 months. This is around the point where most clubs give up on you. You've been on the team for 6 seasons and only managed to crack 25 league games twice. 2 of the last 3 seasons, you could barely make it to 15 games, and it's starting to look like your legs will literally disintegrate if you stand up for too long. I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, you're getting sold in this scenario, especially if it was in the modern day where there's so much pressure on managers to get results fast. But not only did Arsenal keep him, they didn't replace him. They gave him another chance to be the main guy. They didn't bench him for some shiny new signing. He was their main striker when he was healthy, and occasionally left winger. Mind you, what did he do with this new chance in 2010? He fucking shredded his ankle again and missed like 2 months, literally right after the season started. Ended up only playing 25 games, and now you would definitely think Arsenal finally decided to move on from him, right? Still, no. To be fair, he was bugging out whenever he played. The problem was he was not reliable at all. 1 second he's slapping in 25-yard volleys, then boom, out for the season. After 7 years of this, it would look insane to put faith in him again. But guess who did? Wenger and Arsenal, and finally it paid off. Van Persie plays a full 38 for the first time ever, and he drops 30 goals and 9 assists. This dude had the season of a lifetime after 7 years of running up Arsenal's hospital bill while they patiently waited for him to get it together. And what does he do the moment he has one good full season? Immediately decides to dip. Immediately. He can yap all he wants about, I didn't like the direction the team was going in, but that really don't mean shit. You couldn't trust the process of one of the greatest managers ever after he wasted years waiting for your ankles to tighten up? Yeah, okay. Even if he just decided to leave, though, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be that bad. I mean, he'd probably still get a lot of hate for the abandonment, just like Fabregas did, but it wouldn't be as bad. Instead, he goes and joins Manchester United. Manchester United, of all fucking clubs. I'm going to be real right now. Yes, Tottenham and Arsenal are sworn enemies, but in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was Arsenal and United going at it for real. That was the Prem rivalry that defined the beginning of the century. There was a 9-year span from 95 to 2004 where only United or Arsenal won the title. United 6 times and Arsenal 3. The rivalry kind of died out because Arsenal started slipping and slacking, but they were still heated rivals. United had been winning league title after league title for years. They already had 12 Premier League chips at that point. They were the superpower of the Prem, and yes, City was slowly starting to run their pockets, but it was still United. It was still Sir Alex Ferguson, and he joined them. Arsenal took care of him through his struggle with injuries, and he repaid them by immediately slutting himself out to one of their biggest rivals ever, the literal second he had a great season. To make it worse, he immediately led them to a title. That's crazy, bro. Everybody was understandably salty as hell just because of how big of a point swing RVP could have been for Arsenal last season. United doesn't pull away from that clusterfuck of a top four if they don't have RVP, and Arsenal has him still. Yeah, I know I'm pulling a woulda, coulda, shoulda out of my ass right now. Boo me if you want. I don't care. Big sore loser over here. How we build you up, and all it took was one full healthy season, and you start dropping it low for United. I would have been sick as hell. I'm glad I was pretty young when that happened. I promise if some shit like that happened today, I will fall to my knees in the middle of the road. Now, I do understand when Arsenal fans say it's Cole or Fabregas, but I just have my reasons why I hate RVP more. When it comes to Cole, we just didn't offer him as much money as he was worth. I'm pretty sure that's what our own former, president or chairman or something said. I forgot who specifically. I'm going to have to go look it up. Anyways, we basically tried to throw him scraps, and he decided he wanted a feast. I can't really fault him for that. He was already a proven player, and he knew his worth. Fabregas has similar circumstances to RVP with the whole disillusionment thing, thinking the club was headed in the wrong direction. The only difference is he went to Spain, something that's obviously not going to make fans as mad as going to United. The whole RVP thing is just sour, bruh. If you ask some people, I guess they would say that he didn't have to stay with Arsenal if he didn't want to, and obviously that's true. Nobody has to do anything. You can't tell Arsenal fans how they should feel about it, though. I don't know. There's a lot of other Arsenal fans here, so I'm actually interested. Do y'all still hate Van Persie, or do you just not care anymore? Like, if he showed up to the Emirates for a game, y'all asking for his autograph or not? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'm going to see y'all next time.